Hello and welcome to this series of interviews ahead of NoVacancy London 2026, taking place Excel London, 25th, 26th of February. And today I'm delighted to welcome representatives of two of our fantastic exhibitors, Kenny Arnott, Commercial Director, UK, Ireland and Spain for RoomPriceGenie, and Patryk Łuszcz, UK Regional Director of Profitroom. I've been practicing that for weeks, Patryk. Out of 10, how did I do?
I have to say, Dan, that was better than I anticipated. There's still a small area of improvement to be done, but it was a good practice.
Nice. Okay, thank you. I feel good about myself. Thanks for joining me, gentlemen, today. Both in Edinburgh, I think, not together, but both from Scotland. Before we dive in, can you briefly introduce yourselves and the work that your respective organisations do? And I'll start with you, Kenny.
Cool. So thanks for having me, Dan. As you say, I'm Kenny Arnott, Commercial Director, UK, Ireland and Spain at RoomPriceGenie. And I'm also an ex-hotelier. So I worked in the United States. I worked for Jumeirah in the Middle East for a number of years, and then a number of hotels back in the UK. So I've been in the operational side of the business before I moved into the tech side. And RoomPriceGenie. So RoomPriceGenie helps hotels and hotel groups price rooms right every night. It's a simple automated pricing platform. We're built to help hotels earn more revenue without adding more complexity or workload, which from experience is what hoteliers actually need.
Thank you. And Patryk?
My name is Patryk Łuszcz, the UK Regional Director. You're never going to do that. That's what I said. It was very closely aligned. I'm the UK Regional Director for Profitroom, looking at our strategic development in this market. So the UK has been a significant focus for Profitroom for a significant period of time now. And ultimately, I look at positioning our offering, our product, and our solutions tailored to the UK. So I head our commercial team in the UK, along with our sales, customer success, and marketing, in terms of ensuring we position our all-in-one e-commerce offering tailored to the hotel's requirements. So what we often like to do is initiate discussions with hoteliers up and down the country, break down their tech stack in the sense of where they have compiled their existing offering and identify where we can showcase value. I think a tech stack selection nowadays for hoteliers should be a no-brainer, and it should always be justified with any significant return on investment.
Perfect. Thank you. That's both your opportunities for the sales pitch. Now we're going to get into what they call, I think, thought leadership. The theme for the conversation is Digital Darwinism in Hospitality, Implementation Edition. So we're going to focus on practical survival strategies and what adaptation actually looks like for hotels trying to evolve digitally. And essentially, hotels, I guess, they know they need to adapt digitally. Many struggles to work out where to begin. So I guess my first question, and Patryk, you can take this first. When a hotel decides it's time to modernize, what should come first? Should they be looking at booking experience or focus on pricing strategy or something else?
Personally, my view is to review their current existing tech stack, their current existing business, and where are they sitting with their business nowadays. And most importantly, when you make a decision with it regards to your tech stack solution, is where do you want to be? Not in 6 months, 12 months time, but actually choose hotel tech partners where they'll position and put you in place in the correct place down the line, whether it's 12 and actually a 24-month period of time. Data is key. So consolidating data inputs and making sure you have your single unified source of truth enables hotel partners to perform significantly and perform the best with the best possible outcome. Often what we find is hoteliers will choose each individual tech stack separately without looking at the unified e-commerce positioning and the setup. So I'll always say data is key, and onboard tech partners that will be aligned with you in terms of the vision of where they want to be in the next 12, 24 months down the line. I'm not saying more, because 2 years down the line is actually not that much in the greater scheme of things. But in the era of AI and the era of exponential development in technology, I think it's key to make sure that the technology partners you bring on board are very closely aligned with the vision of where they want to take their products, their solutions, and their offering within the market that you represent.
Thank you, Kenny. Anything to add to that?
Yeah, so I guess from our point of view, it really depends whether the hotel already has a revenue management system or not. I guess so for hotels that don't have a revenue management system, Pricing is usually manual, time-consuming, and reactive. So they don't know if their prices are competitive, and that uncertainty costs them revenue every day. So in that situation, pricing has to come first. Because RoomPriceGenie automates pricing in a clear, easy way, so it enables our hotels to optimize the revenue without extra work. But for hotels that already have an RMS, especially groups, the issue's often the opposite. So the system's there, but it's too complex, it's too slow, the logic isn't clear, and in those cases, it's about consistency and control. So a little bit similar to Patryk there.
And just, Kenny, a follow-up question. Does the type of property or market segment influence the starting point, do you think?
Good question. It does matter, but simplicity matters more. So independent hotels need something that helps them every day, where groups need consistency across all the properties. And I guess that's where we see RoomPriceGenie delivering value in both cases.
Sure. History tells you lots of digital transformation projects don't make it, i.e. they start with good intentions and fail. A lot of money wasted, both inside and outside the hospitality sector, I guess. Patryk, why do you think so many digital transformation projects fail in hospitality, even when the intentions are good?
I think one key element as part of that digital transformational success lies in line to what kind of property you are. So reverting a bit back in terms of whether that segment is key, I think very much so, and we find that in our space of significant value and importance, because rural properties will have different expectations of achieving a goal to urban properties and city center properties. So when we have discussions around resorts and with spa facilities and 7 F&B outlets somewhere in the Cotswolds, those requirements are completely different to a 4-star, 5-star city center boutique hotel in London. So identifying what the need for that digital transformation for each individual hotel partner is key and fundamental to that success. Don't get me wrong, I think there's a recurring line and a rhetoric across those hotels of what you'd want to achieve. Ultimately, maximizing your business profitability, maximizing the revenue you can obtain from your online booking tools at the time of booking, pre-stay, and during the stay, and then making sure those guests become repeat guests at the earliest possible convenience. So differentiating, distinguishing those requirements is key. So I think when I look at those resorts in the Cotswolds or anywhere really up and down the country, looking at making sure you don't overcomplicate your tech stack and your online booking experience is fundamental. Looking at key areas of, why do we use Amazon and not eBay? Why do we predominantly use Netflix from a digital standpoint as opposed to, let's say, Amazon Prime? It's all because of digital trust, personalization, and that element of being able to portray the requirements of the given e-commerce consumer and the guests visiting those hotels. So I think it's fundamental that hotels, whenever they make a digital transformational change, they look at what those expectations are for their demographics, for their persona of guest visitors. And it's key to make sure you streamline that with best performing, highest converting, let's say, user experience targeted at driving your online revenue.
Sure. And Kenny, how should if a hotel is listening, and just give us the benefit of your experience, if a hotel how does a hotel structure a project so it doesn't collapse? Let's say they haven't got one specific department that's buying into it. Just give us maybe some real world examples that you've.
The easy answer is choose technology that the teams actually enjoy using. That's the biggest way to get buy-in. So if it's ease of use, if it's transparent, and if it supports what they want to do, that's why the adoption sticks. We've seen hotels buy RMSs, but they end up overriding it daily because they don't trust it. And that's not a failure in the tech. That's usually a problem with the clarity of it. Hotels still have that kind of legacy thinking as well in the background. So they still believe the pricing has to be manual to be safe. Oh, no, you can't let a system automate it. We need to do it ourselves to get it 100%. But in today's market, to stay competitive and stay up to date, manual pricing is the risk. It's not the other way around. So, yeah, there's a few things, and I guess as well, there's also misaligned expectations and over complexity. You know, hotels don't need more dashboards. You know, they don't need more systems. They need confidence. They need consistency, and they need time back as well.
Patrick, do you agree with that? Do you see that in the field when you're speaking to people?
100%. And I think this is a big kind of risk for hotels, and particularly the industry where we lie, because I couldn't agree more with what Kenny, what you mentioned. The risk is actually the lack of automation, the lack of implementing AI and the right practices. Don't get me wrong. I think that we're still in some areas where AI, nonetheless, is still at an infancy in many places and in many parts of our business. But right now, what we see as a business as well, from a technological standpoint, we must embed and implement AI practices and automate practices in as many areas within the business as possible. There's sort of a bit of a cultural shift that we've undergone as a business as well ourselves, where we need to look at it as an element of, we either implement AI within the core of our operations, within our product and our solution, or we risk being overtaken by our competitors that may already be in the business or others that might not be in the market yet, because that's what the developments and the growth in AI is really proven to be a great opportunity, but likewise, and for businesses that are quite well established, as well as a risk. So from our point of view is AI first, and maximizing it to the greatest possible extension to anything we do as a business. We look at, all right, before we look at implementing something, can that be done by AI? Can we automate that process without having to do much? And the same thing, why I'm going with that narrative, is because that's the same thing we tell the hotels and hotel partners that we aim to operate with. And that's a key between adding AI or automated tools to remove the human factor. I would say that's a complete opposite, because we need to enable the development of technology, automation, and the utilization of AI practices to free up the time for our members of the front of house team, F&B teams, the spa operation teams, to ensure they have the maximum time available whilst the guest is in-house, to make sure they create a personable, unique stay that they will remember. So it's about making sure that technology enables our staff much more than it does take away that human element away.
And Kenny, let me know if you agree with this statement, that the success of digital transformation depends, well, in this area, on the booking experience and revenue management working together rather than separately. Would you agree with that, Kenny?
Yeah, absolutely. They have to work together, because if you have disconnected systems, that's kind of slow decisions, and that creates inconsistencies, it erodes trust. You know, and hotels don't need tons more tools. I mean, you get some hotels that take 45 different technologies, and that's not what they need. They need tools that talk to each other. They need tools that make life easy, you know, because if you have disconnected systems, things are inconsistent. There's slow reactions to the demand. You got manual errors. So if you don't trust the system, you're going to do it manually. The human element comes in, and then guest mistrust. You know, so then you get the whole trust thing, because you start to make mistakes. The guests start to see these mistakes, and then you're breaking trust with the guest, and then you're also breaking that trust internally as well, because then your staff don't trust the system, and then it just, before you know it, you go down a whole rabbit hole.
Kenny,
go on.
Dan, are you okay if I jump in here?
Of course you can, yeah.
Kenny, like, it's so true, right? And in terms of building the multiple kind of tech providers, providing disjointed elements of the hotel operation, right? How many times, if and any hoteliers that will be listening to this, I would like to ask that question, like, how many times have you been in a position that there's something that happened that was wrong throughout the process, and you knew that you had to essentially send a ticket to one of your tech providers, and you send a ticket to your, let's say, PMS partner, and then that partner support functions and team said, okay, yes, we see that everything was logged correctly on our end. And then, as a matter of fact, actually, why don't you check with the other technology partner, which might be the channel manager, it might be the RMS, it might be the booking engine provider. And you're often left as a hotelier in that in-between limbo between your tech partners that don't really necessarily communicate between, okay, this is your support ticket, it's that person's problem, it's not our problem, it's his problem. And it's a fundamental issue really within that wider decision-making process. And I would always question, and I can tell you outright, in Profitroom, I've kind of made sure this is not the case where it's impossible for our support team to do that, because it's first and foremost, look at your own end and let's make sure, because as a hotelier, you shouldn't care whether it's his problem or that problem. It's a mind problem as a hotelier to resolve that. And I would encourage that any technology partner working with the hotels that they work with is working in conjunction, collaborate with all the technology partners to ensure ultimately it's not about pointing fingers, but finding out where the issue may lie. Because sometimes, yes, things might occur that is out of our control, but working together to make sure it's as resolved as quickly as possible between those technology partners.
100%.
And Kenny, how do you help hotels move from siloed operations to a joined up digital strategy? I know it's a big question, but what sort of practical steps do you take?
What practical steps? Make sure who you're picking integrates cleanly with whether it's PMS, the channel managers, booking engines. So that's first and foremost. And I think one thing that we're really proud of in RoomPriceGenie is our partners aren't a logo on our website. You know, we don't just take a partner because let's get our partner numbers up to look good. We want a partnership to be a real partnership. So anyone that we partner with is really an extension of us, what we believe in, how we work, how we speak to our clients. So that, I think you kind of need to strip it down to that. Sometimes not the flashiest tech partner is the best partner for you as a hotel. You need to kind of look beyond the bonnet. You know, you need to pick it up and say, actually, how are these all going to work together? Do I need to have 5 things working together, or can I actually work with 3? You know, sometimes less is more. So yeah, certainly not overcomplicating the situation would probably be my best example. And it's one thing I really am proud of at RoomPriceGenie is that we have some phenomenal partners like Profitroom that we work with.
Sure. I guess I have to use the KPI. I was trying to think of something else rather than corporate speak, but I'll use it anyway. When we're going to move on, talk about metrics. Patryk, what do you think the single metric is that separates hotels that are genuinely adapting from those just tinkering around the edges?
The metric around. So on average in the UK, we find, for instance, just around 21% of hotels will have a direct online revenue share, which will be coming natural from the booking engine. So that's a key metric where we see a benchmark across, depending on, it will vary by region, it will vary between urban or rural properties. But this is something where we will often, as part of our discussions, whilst we really look at identifying where a specific hotel, where it lies, is that's where we will benchmark, and we will look at options of where they should take the business next. One thing, what you mentioned, of course, between digital marketing practices and revenue management practices, how can you incorporate that in terms of you working in synergy to drive business success? That's why we love when actually RoomPriceGenie is on board with our hotel partners, because it removes that risk of, for instance, you know, you're sitting outside on a Saturday afternoon with your family or your friends, and there's just been a huge announcement that there's a major concert taking place in a particular region. This is where, you know, as a hotelier team, the team can sit in peace and live in peace, really, and knowing that RoomPriceGenie, the technology on the back end, will fluctuate, will base new revenue strategies and revenue practices based on the demand currently within a specific area. So you don't have that risk of being completely left out from your revenue strategy, where perhaps your busiest day of the year has been sold out before you manage to come back to the office to change your rates. So this is something where that revenue practice enables us to essentially quickly react and adapt to the requirements of the current era and the current market, and then that can be replicated from a digital marketing and online booking experience standpoint. So we find, you know, in terms of being able to personalize packages and personalized rate offering based on specific requirements a guest may have, i.e. you're traveling over the weekend when there's a Taylor Swift concert somewhere in the UK, where we've seen obviously in the last year, you know, that element of being able to personalize that online user experience drives your direct booking success. So these are those key functions that we see are key to the hotelier success.
Thank you. And Kenny, in your experience, if we think about behaviors, internal behaviors within hotels, what internal behaviors do high converting hotels tend to have, do you think?
Yeah, so just 100% agree with what Patryk said, and the only thing I would just add to that is my metric would be conversion rate, and I think it's that simple. If your pricing is right and your experience for the guest to book is smooth, guests book. If they don't, they don't. It's really that simple. So what behaviors do they have? Trust in automation, trust in letting tech do what tech does. Price consistently. You know, that's probably one of the biggest things. And review performance weekly. You know, don't review performance every hour, every 2 hours, but again, don't review it, you know, kind of on a quarterly basis. And be relentless in removing friction. You know, so anytime you see friction, whether it be from a system, for a human internally, externally, remove that friction. Try and get down to the bottom of it and try and solve it and let the systems work smoothly.
Sure.
You know, none of this is really rocket science, you know, and I think that sometimes people think that hotel tech is like, you know, it's brain surgery or something. It actually isn't, and it shouldn't be scary. It is quite simple if you strip it right back.
Yeah. We're coming to the end of the chat, so I want to talk about some practical tips people listening can sort of implement. Starting with you, Kenny, if a hotel wants to make some meaningful progress in the next 3 to 6 months, what are the top actions you would recommend? Maybe 1 or 2, and then same question, Patryk.
Well, I have to say automate your pricing properly. So hotels that use us, that use RoomPriceGenie, typically see about a 19-20% revenue increase and save over 10 hours a week. So that's transformational without adding workload for them. And then just kind of what we said earlier, choose simplicity over complexity. You know, if a system's not used daily, then it's not going to deliver value to you. And the right tools should make your life easier. They shouldn't make your job harder, more complex. It's there to take away these challenges, not add to the challenges. And I think some people get, you know, going down this rabbit hole again of I must have this, I must have that, and it needs to be really technical, because if it's not really technical, then it's not going to be the best system. And actually, simplicity sometimes is the best system for you. That's just what your property and your hotel needs. So yeah, that would be my 2.
Thank you. And Patryk?
I will maintain the same narrative, to be fair, with Kenny in this, with regards to simplicity, which I referred to as automation, in the sense of making sure we look at that element of automation, but at the same time ensure there's a strong sense of personalization, because I don't think, and we strongly feel like at Profitroom, that the two don't exclude one another. We should look at how technology can automate a lot of those processes, but at the same time make sure you ultra personalize your online user experience, your online offering, and how you can maximize that online revenue that you attribute to your website and your direct booking tools. Because we've often gone down that rabbit hole with hotel partners where they've got a full list of requirements of, I want this to do this, I want the system to do that, X, Y, Z, and it's a very comprehensive, very thought through list. But then the question to review there is why? What are we trying to achieve? And as long as we have a clearly identified why and what we want to achieve, I think this is the key to the point, because there is an element of making sure we automate, but ensure the ultimate maximum output is driving business revenue, driving business profitability, particularly in the day and era that we are nowadays in the UK, with an increasing cost of living and operational cost of operating an F&B and a hotel venue in the UK. So one thing is that. The other thing is actually the element of trust and ownership within the hotels and the teams that we have discussions with, because many independent hotels will operate with staffing naturally, because they need to make sure they maintain a lenient operation and they manage their labor costs. But it's making sure you have that a level of ownership somewhere amongst the team of who is responsible for your revenue strategies, who is responsible for your digital marketing performance, who is responsible for your website, and how you can make sure that that person is essentially empowered to make quantifiable good changes within the business based on the information that they obtain. Because there's often that element of having multiple stakeholders involved, which I actually strongly agree with that, but then there's a lack element of ownership at that point of how we make that decision for the right technological partner. And that's a key area to success, I think, between Profitroom definitely, but same thing with RoomPriceGenie, where we aim at partnering with those hotel partners in the UK based on performance metrics, based on the success they achieve. It's not about tying a hotel partner to a 3-year contract and chatting in 3 years' time when the contract is due to renegotiate. It's actually about making sure you have a consistent partnership and a relationship to drive direct booking success every single day with your revenue practices, with your digital performance, and your online presence.
Thank you. And finally, and thank you for your time today, Kenny, starting with you. You're both going to be represented at RoomPriceGenie and Profitroom at NoVacancy London in February. Why is it important for you to be involved in an event like that? And also, when people come to see you at the event, what can they expect when they visit your stand? What sort of questions can they come to you with?
So it's important, we're delighted to be involved in the inaugural NoVacancy London. Our team in APAC are regular visitors to the NoVacancy show that takes place in Australia, and come back with wonderful things how good the show is. So when we knew the show was coming to the UK and to London, for us it was a no-brainer. And operators are looking for bespoke solutions that work. They don't want the theory, so hopefully, they'll be able to come to us and Profitroom and find these solutions. And I think it matters as well, going with a partner like Profitroom, and having that real partnership. We were speaking off camera a bit earlier about what the stand's actually going to look like. I have no idea. We have marketing teams that are coming up with these weird and wonderful ideas, and I'm sure the show is going to be absolutely fantastic, and the show's going to be phenomenal. But what visitors will be able to expect at the stand, they'll learn more about RoomPriceGenie, simple, transparent pricing approach. They're going to see a system that offers clear value, that does approximately 19% revenue, time saved, and the consistency that we've been talking about. You're going to meet a customer-centric team, and there'll be members of all the UK team, plus some of our chief officers will be there as well. And then we have the local expertise. So our UK and Ireland team is all from the UK and Ireland. They're all based here, working here. So anyone who comes to visit will be able to meet all members of our team as well. So no, we're really looking forward to it. Thank you.
And Patryk?
When we heard that NoVacancy was coming into London, myself included in our marketing team, it was pretty much a no-brainer from the get-go. And actually coming very closely in line with the RoomPriceGenie team, with Kenny and his UK and Irish operations, it was genuinely a no-brainer, and we pretty much knew straight from the get-go that this was the right partnership for this. So we're really excited, because I think both of our companies and our kind of representation has got a similar ethos, where we want to make sure we are heard, we are seen, and we will be the party of the place, and we will be the busiest of the stands, I'd like to believe. And I strongly believe that it's because we want to make a difference. We do make a difference for an increasing number of hoteliers in the UK and all around the globe, as a matter of fact. And it's all about making sure it's the right hotel partners for us. So making sure it's that we will be having those discussions with hotel partners on a daily basis, on the day as well, where it's looking at how we can maximize direct business booking profitability, direct business revenue, and making sure we are the right technological tech stack solution for our hotel partners. So it's great that we can have discussions on the days like this, like NoVacancy in London, and we will have our UK team at hand on the day. So I'm sure it'll be a really exciting time at NoVacancy.
Thank you. So Kenny Arnott, Commercial Director of UK, Ireland and Spain at RoomPriceGenie, and Patryk Łuszcz, UK Regional Director of Profitroom. Thank you very much for your time today. Look forward to seeing you at the show.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dan. Thank you, Kenny.